Hello friends, welcome back. In this lecture, we want to enable the user to select the city which weather we are going to show. So we want to create a component where we will have an input and a button as well. And when the user clicks the button, we will fetch the weather forecast for that city. So if we go to Bootstrap documentation, we will be using Bootstrap layout where we will have container and we will have different rows which will go beneath each other, and in different rows we can define column. So basically using this we can prevent writing a lot of CSS. Now let's create our next component. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, and inside component folder we will create a new file with the name CitySelector.js. And as this is a functional component, so I will write RAFCE and press tab, and this will take only one prop which is called onSelect button click. So we will pass a function which will invoke when a button is clicked. Let's save this. This component will contain only one state property, and that will be the city. So in order to use state in a functional component, we of course have to import useState. So let's import useState. Now let's define our useState. So useState and initial value will be null, and this useState will return an array which is having two elements. So the first one is the state variable which is city, and second one is the setter function which is set city, and we need to assign it to a variable keyword. So we will assign it to const. Let's save this, and instead of div we will give an react fragment. So let's remove this. So this is react fragment. Now inside we are going to define a couple of rows. So let's define our first row. So here we need to write row, and it will just contain one column. So column, and in this column we are going to store a text which will say the instruction for the user. So let's create an h1 tag, and let's say hello, select your city. And now we need to import row and column from React Bootstrap. So here we need to write import row column from React Bootstrap. Let's save this file. Now let's define the second row. So let's copy this entire row and let's paste it. And this row will also contain one column, and this column will contain a form control component. So let's remove this h1 tag, and here we need to define form control component, and here we need to import form control from React Bootstrap. So form control. So now in this form control, we will pass couple of properties. So first one will be placeholder. So placeholder, which is equal to enter city. And now let's pass on change handler. So on change, which is equal to, and this will take an arrow function. So here we need to give an arrow function. And what we want to do is we want to call the set city function, and then new city will be city. So here we need to pass an event, and we will call set city, which is going to be event dot target dot value. Let's save this file. Now let's create the last row. This will also contain one column, but inside the column we need to take a button. So let's remove this h1 tag, and we will take a button component, and here we need to import button component from React Bootstrap. So button, and inside button we will write check weather. Let's save this, and here inside the button we need to pass an on click listener. So on click, which is equal to an arrow function. So what happens when the button is clicked? So when the user clicks the button, then we want to invoke the onSelect button click function, which is passed through props. So let's call this function onSelect button click, and we want to pass the current city. As this is a functional component, so we can access the state variable city here. And now let's save this changes, and we need to import this component in app.js. So let's go to app.js, and here we need to import city selector from /component / city selector. And now we need to render it here. So let's remove this weather card component. We don't require right now. And let's render city selector component. And here we need to remove this. We don't require this. First, we need to write the prop name, which is on select button click, which is equal to an arrow function. And here we need to console log city. Let's save this. And here also we need to pass city. And now we need to replace this div with container. So container. And here we need to import container from React Bootstrap. Let's save this. Now let's go to the browser. Now as you can see, this is our city selector component. Now let's do some styling. It is not looking that great. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, and here in city selector, in the second column, sorry, in the second row, in this column, we need to add access equals to 4. So what this access equals to 4 means, first let's go to the browser and I'll tell you. So this will take 1/4 of the entire div. So the total length is 12. So 1/4 will be 12 divided by 3. So we can, so 1/4 is 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Let's say we have 3 columns, okay? So what happened? If let me save this and let's go to the browser. So as you can see, this is the total number is 12, and this is 4, 8 and 12. So we need to divide 12 by 3, which is 4. So here we need to take 4. If I take 3, and if I save this, what will happen is like we can add one more column. So if I add one more column of access 3, so here you can see we can have 4 inputs, but we need only one column. So let's undo this, and here we need to pass access equals to 4. So now we need this in the center. So let's go to Visual Studio Code and let's open app.css, and here we need to write CSS for row. So dot row, which is equal to justify content center, and margin, which is going to be 15 px from top and bottom, and 0 from right and left. Let's save this and let's go to the browser. So as you can see, now it is looking much better than before. And now we need to right click and inspect, and we need to go to console, and let me make it in the right side, on the right side. And now if I enter the name of the city, and if I press this button check weather, here you can see the city name Mumbai has been logged. So this is working fine. So this is it for this video, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, then please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.